and welcome to AirgunWeb.com, your home for honest, real-world airgun reviews where we bring you the facts, not fluff. Today's review is on the new Gamo CFR. The CFR has some pretty big shoes to fill, taking over for the CFX. But dressed to impress, the CFR has some exciting new features like the whisper noise dampening system and this very hefty thumbhole stock, including this adjustable cheek piece. I'm not sure why, but Gamo only bundles a 4x32 scope with this gun. You know, that's just not going to cut it around here. So I replaced it with the Leaper's 4-16 AO MD IR scope. I also replaced the Gamo mounts because they were just not up to holding the larger Leaper scope. I chose the Leaper's medium height one-piece mount, which has always worked well for me. Now let's take a good close-up look at this rifle.
The Gamo CFR is a truly unique airgun from Gamo. It sports the Whisper NDS system, fixed barrel accuracy, and a new composite thumbhole tactical stock with an adjustable cheek piece. The stock works equally well for both right and left-handed shooters, with the rotating breech favoring right-handers. The rifle comes equipped with Gamo's traditional fiber optic sights, with the rear sight being fully adjustable for both windage and elevation. Gamo bundles a simple 4x32 scope with this rifle, but I found it to be inadequate for our testing. So I spoke to Leapers and they provided a 4-16x40 AO MD IR scope and medium one-piece mount. This worked much better and helped us get the most accurate results at both 10 and 20 yards. Being an underlever rifle, the CFR works differently than any other rifle in Gamo's lineup. To cock and load the CFR, you simply pull down the lever under the barrel until it locks into place. You can then return it. Once cocked, you rotate the breech and load your pellet. Once loaded, you can disengage the manual safety and you're ready to fire. The trigger on the CFR is the one downside to this rifle. Although the pull weight is a reasonable 4 pounds, the second stage is very long and can give you fits from the bench. Accuracy at 10 yards was really something, with our best group measuring a mere .115 inch center to center.
Let's talk about cocking, loading, and shooting the new Gamo CFR. As I mentioned before, the new CFR is Gamo's replacement for their CFX. The CFX is an extraordinarily nice airgun. It may not have the power of some new airguns, but it's easier to shoot and dead-on accurate. The CFX has set the bar very high for this new arrival from Gamo. The CFR, like the CFX, is an underlever cocking airgun, and is really the only spring gun that Gamo has in its product line that works that way. The idea is that a fixed barrel will give you better accuracy because you're not moving the barrel to cock the gun. Working the CFR is pretty simple. First, you're going to engage the manual safety in front of the trigger. Then you cock the rifle using the cocking arm under the barrel. Once cocked, you can rotate the breech to load the pellet. This is a slightly different breech design and it helps prevent damaging the skirt of the pellet when closing the breech. I'm glad to see that Gamo addressed this issue. On another note, however, they should have smoothed out the edges of the breech and opened it up just a little bit. As it stands, some pellets won't load because they get caught on the sharp edges. With the pellets securely in the breech, you rotate the breech closed. Now you're ready to set the safety to fire, aim down range, and fire the gun. It all looks like this. The shooting characteristics of the CFR are more like a firearm than a spring gun. There's still a little bit of hold sensitivity, but as long as you can rest the gun in the same place each time, you're going to get some really good results from sandbags or even just a rolled up towel like I used. This is really nice for those of us that just want to shoot and don't want to fight constantly to have the perfect technique. The trigger on the CFR is what's going to be your biggest challenge. With an average pull weight of about 4 pounds and a very long second stage, your trigger control is going to be critical. I can't tell you how many potentially great groups were spoiled by one errant shot because I just didn't manage to get the trigger pull right. But once you can get the hang of it, the gun will really group well. Now let's go ahead and move on to our crony tests, and we'll talk about which pellets gave us the best accuracy. Let's go ahead and talk about performance. Gamo puts the max velocity of the CFR at 1100 feet per second with lead-free pellets. I'm guessing that's going to put us at about 920 feet per second with lightweight lead pellets. Let's take a look at the numbers. Starting with the very light 7-grain RWS Hobbies, our de facto pellet for testing maximum velocity, we got a high of 924 feet per second, a low of 903 feet per second, an average of 912 feet per second, an extreme spread of 21 feet per second, and a standard deviation of 7 feet per second. The average energy was 12.94 foot-pounds. Now the next part gets interesting. At 10 yards, the best pellet was hands down the Gamo Redfire pellet. But at 20 yards, it really tended to open up. I found that the best pellet at 20 yards was the Gamo Hunter pellet. As for the crony numbers, let's start with the 8.13 grain Gamo Redfire pellets. We had a high of 842 feet per second, a low of 823 feet per second, an average of 833 feet per second, with an extreme spread of 19 feet per second and a standard deviation of 6 feet per second. The average energy was 12.53 foot-pounds. Now the Gamo 100 pellets did pretty well at 10 yards, but they did much better than the Redfire at 20 yards. They're a 7.56 grain pellet and gave us the following results. We had a high of 861 feet per second, a low of 829 feet per second, an average of 841 feet per second, with an extreme spread of 32 feet per second and a standard deviation of 9 feet per second. The average energy was 11.88 foot-pounds. So now we know for sure that the CFR follows in the footsteps of the CFX with regards to velocity. But can it compare with the CFX for accuracy? I have several shot groups to show you, starting at 10 yards and of course then 20 yards. One quick note, many viewers have asked if there's a way I can show the relative size of these groups. I believe I've figured out an easy way to do this, and I'll be trying it out on our next set of videos. But for now, know that all but one of these groups can be covered by a dime. The one exception are the Redfires at 20 yards, which were just a little bit bigger than a dime. Let's go ahead and take a look. So here's my scorecard for the Gamo CFR. Let's start with the cons. The biggest con in my book with the CFR is simply the price. At around $280 at Pyramid Air, it's an expensive airgun. The CFX was around $200 and competed very well with guns in that price range. At $280, the CFR is going to have a lot of very tough competition. The bundled scope should just be dropped or upgraded to something worthy of a $300 airgun. And of course, there's Gamo's famous or infamous trigger. The pull weight's not bad, it's just the length of that second stage that will just give you fits. Lastly, our test rifle has started to demonstrate some velocity inconsistencies. I've been in communications with Gamo to see what might be the issue, and I'll make sure to update everybody via Facebook and Twitter once I know more. Now here are the pros for this rifle. The CFR has a lot of nice features, all combined in one airgun. It's got the Whisper NDS, fixed barrel accuracy, and an excellent modern tactical looking stock. The weight and feel is very nice. It's not as hold sensitive as other spring guns, and it's easy to cock, all which allows for a more leisurely shooting experience. With an upgraded scope, I was able to get exceptional groups at 10 yards and very respectable groups at 20. So let's put all this together in our final summary. Right now I'm really on the fence with this rifle. I love the concept, love the accuracy at 10 yards. With a little practice overcoming the long second stage of the trigger, you can shoot tiny little 5-shot groups all day long with relative ease. But the high price point and questionable performance over the long term has me a little cautious. I expect to hear back from Gamo soon, so stay tuned to my Facebook and Twitter pages. Links can be found on my website, www.airgunweb.com. I'd like to take a moment and thank the folks at Gamo for providing this new CFR for this review, along with the folks at Leapers for providing the scope and the mount. And of course I want to thank Pyramid Air for their support. Without them, we would not be able to produce these reviews. So if you like what you see here, please support our sponsors by visiting www.pyramidair.com or give them a call at 1-888-262-4867 for your next airgun or airgun supply purchase. Make sure to let them know that you heard about them here on Airgun Web. When you're looking for honest, real-world reviews, think Airgun Web, where we tell you the facts, not fluff. I'm Rick Utzler with AirgunWeb.com. Thanks again for watching.